Yo, what's up? I wanted to read this passage, this short chapter from this book I'm reading, a health book, How Not to Die, by Micheal Greger MD, founder of nutritionfacts.org. I highly recommend this book. It talks about a whole plant-based, whole foods plant-based diet, and it has all the research and backed research that you don't see on TV, that you don't see, people marketing, because it's all money. It's all money. It's all money. They really Nobody talks about this, but this is the stuff, it that should be promoted the most if we want to live our healthiest selves. So I just wanted to read this chapter. This one talks about how not to die from liver disease, or how not to die from liver diseases. Okay, so here's a little story to start off. There are some patients you never forget. On the first day of my GI rotation, GI stands for gastrointestinal, which means I was about to come face to face with any issues in the digestive tract from mouth to tush. I reported in and I was told to observe my team of senior doctors in one of my endoscopy rooms, where physicians use a scope to look into the GI tract for all manner of routine procedures. I expected to walk into a colonoscopy looking at the rectal polyp, or maybe an upper endoscopy looking at a stomach ulcer, but I'll never forget what I saw. It fuels me to this day in my mission to help people understand the connection between lifestyle and health, or lack of it. A sedated patient was lying on the gurney, surrounded by a team of doctors using a scope with a camera. I looked at the monitor, trying to find anatomical landmarks to understand where the scope was. It was definitely down the throat, but the esophagus was snaked with what looked like throbbing varicose veins. They were everywhere. They looked like worms trying to emerge from under the smooth surface of the esophagus. Several had eroded through the lining and were spurting blood. I watched as more blood surged out with every one of the patient's heartbeats. She was basically bleeding to death into her stomach. The doctors tried desperately to cauterize and tie off these fountains of fresh red blood, but it was like a game of whack-a-mole. Every time one was cut off, another sprang up. These were known as esophageal varices, veins swollen with backed up blood due to a cirrhotic liver. Watching this nightmare unfold, I wondered how the patient first came down with the cirrhosis. Was she an alcoholic? Did she contract hepatitis? I remember thinking how devastated she must have felt when she found out she had end-stage liver disease. How was her family coping? I was jerked back from my thoughts by screeching monitor alarms. She was bleeding out. The doctors couldn't transfuse blood faster than the patient was losing it internally. Her blood pressure fell and her heart stopped. The staff jumped into action with chest compressions, paddles delivering shocks, and injections of adrenaline. But within minutes, she was gone. It was my job to talk to the patient's family. I learned that her cirrhosis was not due to drinking too much or from being an IV drug user. Her liver had scarred over because she was obese and had developed a fatty liver. Everything I had just witnessed was preventable, a direct result of lifestyle choices. Let me just get a little hot in here. Excuse me. When people are overweight, they can suffer from social stigma, knee problems, and increased risk of metabolic disorders like diabetes. But this was the first person I saw bleed to death before my eyes. The family cried. I cried. I swore to myself I'd do whatever is necessary to help prevent this from ever happening to anyone under my care. You can make do with only one kidney. You could survive without a spleen or a gallbladder. You can even get by without a stomach. But you can't live without a liver, the body's largest internal organ. What exactly does a liver do? Up to 500 different functions have been attributed to this vital organ. First and foremost, it plays the role of bouncer, keeping unwanted guests out of your bloodstream. Whatever you absorb through your digestive tract isn't immediately circulated throughout your body. The blood from your intestines first goes straight to your liver, where nutrients are metabolized and toxins are neutralized. It's no surprise then that what you eat can and does play a critical role in liver health and disease. About 60,000 Americans die of liver disease every year, and the death rates have risen each of the last 5 years. The incidence of liver cancer alone has been rising about 4% every year over the last decade. Liver dysfunction can run in families like the iron overload disease, hemochromatosis. Hemochromatosis. It can be caused by infections that lead to liver cancer, or it can stem from drugs, most often inadvertent or intentional overdoses of Tylenol. The most common causes, however, are drink and food, alcoholic liver disease, and fatty liver disease. So the most common causes is drink and food, alcoholic liver disease, and fatty liver disease. So that's just, if you need to watch the video again to really get, sorry, I'm over here sweating, but if you just try to pay attention to what I said, I hope I read it so you could understand and take your diet seriously. I'll make more videos of this health, because that's something I want to as well be my best I could be health-wise, and also help others be aware of how to be your healthiest self by changing your diet. All right, peace.